What's going on, everybody? Uh, I've been shown something that I think you guys need to look into. I've already done a little bit of research on it, and it's not going to be a good thing. You guys thought it was bad enough to have a lockdown during you know what? Oh, yeah. That sucked, didn't it? I know some of you didn't deal with it, I guess. From what I hear in Virginia, they didn't have to wear masks. There wasn't no lockdowns or no 6 foot spacing out in, uh, there's, let's see, Alabama. They didn't have to do none of that. There's my son, even he was living in 30 minutes from where I'm living right here. And it wasn't nothing in his town like it was here where I live. Wasn't nothing like it. But you guys think, and I thought, I'm telling you what, as far as I got 2 years in jail. I got 2 years in jail for not wearing a mask, folks. That's basically exactly what it was all about. And there's people in this city, this township, that'll back that 100%. That's exactly what happened to me. Now, they didn't use that charge, they made up false charges. But I got 2 years in jail. I did 1 year on probation because they couldn't find no criminal history on me other than a DUI in 1998 when my Jeep was brand new. I ain't playing with you. That was the only criminal crap they had on me that they could find anyway. Uh, people, if you think that lockdown was bad, mask, 6 foot distances, all that crap, couldn't fly, couldn't do this, couldn't do that, being poked and probed and sexually assaulted. You guys don't even understand what's coming. Oh, yeah, this is going to be called the climate lockdown. It's already happening, folks. What do you guys think? I make this stuff up? I just make this stuff up as I go along. It's already happening, folks. It's basically what China pretty much already has in place. And that's why everybody is stacked on top of each other and they have complete cities that are empty. Cities, buildings, everything, homes. Nobody lives there because they're all piled up into one or two or three small. Their city. Everybody's crammed into cities and stacked on top of each other. That's what they're going to make you do. And what they're calling it right now, and you guys can look this up if you want. You got, I'm sure there's somebody checking what I'm saying. But you guys can look it up. It's actually been called two things at this point. The first thing it was called was 15-minute cities. 15-minute cities, folks. Now, there was I think there's a country or there's something that I mean, I'm telling you, they're already doing this shit, folks. They're already doing it. But there's already one place that they've tried to pull this off, and they're like, well, you can't do 15-minute cities here. We just can't. And I'll explain to you what 15-minute cities are. They have to be at least 20-minute cities because there's not enough within the 15-minute cities for people to be able to go to where they need to go and do this and that. Oh, yeah. This is already happening, folks. Uh, a 15-minute city is this. And I want to remind you, because I know there's a lot of you on here who's been following me for a long time. And I've been telling you for a while now, they're going to have you motherfuckers walking. You're going to be back. You won't even be able to ride a horse. Oh, no. That's going to go against climate. You won't be able to ride no animal. You're going to be walking or riding a bicycle. And that's exactly how this is going to happen. Your 15-minute cities, there'll be designated areas that you live in. The measurement will start at your home. And however far you can walk in 15 minutes or ride a bicycle in 15 minutes, that's your city. You don't go outside your city. If you continue to go outside your city, because you're going to be tracked. You understand you're already being tracked everywhere you go, don't you, folks? Come on. Your cars, your phones, everything, all your electronic shit tracks and tells them everything you do. You don't know this? You got to know this. So they already know everywhere you go. If you go outside your 15-minute city, which is 15 minutes from your house, by bicycle, you get charged. You get a ticket. Well, if they know where you're at, they know what you're doing. People, you are going to be walking again. Don't believe me? Watch and see. I've been telling you guys that they're going to make you walk. You're moving too fast and too far too quickly. They're going to stop it. Now we find out that it doesn't take much. It only takes a bullet. They can take down the power grid. They don't even need nukes, folks. They don't even need nukes to take down the power grid. Do you guys understand what's going on? Because it's busting me up. If you don't, and there's people I've talked to them about, what? Where's all this going on? You're crazy. Okay. They've been calling me crazy for shit. Damn near 60 years now, at least 50. Been calling me crazy for 50 years. So you're in a long-standing line if you're calling me crazy. Long-standing line. There's many people in front of you. But I have not had COVID at 60. Been through 3 heart surgeries. Got 30% lung capacity. And I smoke. I haven't had COVID. I've had an infection on a tooth, and I had an what do they call that? In your nasal cavity, I had an infection a couple of weeks ago. It even swelled up this side of my face. And but according to them, I'm supposed to be dead. I haven't stayed away. I've been trespassed. That's how much I didn't stop doing what I was doing when all this started. I've been trespassed from restaurants and the public library, parks for other reasons. I was trespassed from the parks because I was metal detecting on park land that I had permission to be there. But the wealthy people in town uh, didn't want me to find some things, I guess. That's the only thing I could say. So they shut down. This is how I'm telling you, people, it doesn't matter what I do, it involves cops. It always involves cops. My wife and daughter, or my family, let me see, it's hanging right back here. Right there's my right there's my metal detector hanging there. I'm doing this backwards. And then that's my pinpointer hanging right there. And I got shovels and shit over there. No, see, I was doing that at the beginning of spring this year. It's on one of my channels. All the shit I found. I even found a handgun, folks. 18. They're saying 1880s, late 1880s handgun that I found. It was a Derringer style handgun. I found all kinds of shit. And I had permission to be on every. If I didn't have permission, I was on public land, and I still involved over 8 police officers. That's when I found out. I was sitting there when the first 2 police officers came up on me with a metal detector laying on the ground in front of me, because I done sat down when the cops came up. I just sat the fuck down. My metal detector shovel standing there stuck in the ground. I got my damn pinpointer on my hip. I'm sitting there and they come walking up because the neighbors didn't want me in that. And I was on public land, folks, and I had permission to be on parkland, which was the property I was headed to. But the people that owned a little piece of property near it didn't want me back there digging stuff up. So they called the police on me. This is the first time some of these police officers ever ran the plates on my Jeep. My Jeep was sitting down there. And these cops come walking up on me. There was 2 of them. I was down, ways down this trail, but I could see my Jeep. I could see the police cars. The woman done yelled at me 2 or 3 times. I told her I'm not going on your property. So, and when they pulled up, I just sat on I got a 5-gallon bucket I carried with me to carry shit in if I found stuff, and to carry tools and stuff with me. And so I just flipped the bucket, that dumped everything out, I flipped it over and sat down and made them come to me. Before they got to me, they ran my Jeep. Well, my name's David Brian Grooms. Well, most of these cops only knew me around here as Watachi Running Free, or they knew me as Brian Grooms, because I always went by my middle name. My whole life, anybody asked me my name was Brian. David was my first name, and 90% of the time, if somebody was calling me David, I was in some kind of trouble, because they're using my first name, and that includes my mom and dad. So they before they come up the trail where I'm sitting up there waiting on them, metal detecting, and I'm still on probation, people. I still got like about a month and a half or 2 months before I'm off probation for not wearing a mask. And all of a sudden, there's 2 cops there, and one of them I know, we've talked to each other a few times, and he comes walking up, and I'm sitting there on my bucket just looking at him. He goes, what's going on? What are you doing? And I look at him, and I got my metal detector sitting right beside me. I'm sitting on a bucket, shovel stuffed into the ground. And I look at him, I said, I'm laying concrete. He goes, laying concrete? I said, what the hell does it look like? You see my metal detector right here. You see all the holes I've dug up and down this public land trail that runs down through here. I got a shovel. I got my pinpointer here, a bucket to carry the stuff in. I can show you the stuff I found. What do you mean, what am I doing? And he goes, we're just trying to find out whose land you're on. I said, this is a trail. This is public land right here where I'm standing, in every hole you see dug up and down this trail. That's public. It's public. But I had permission to be on this side of this trail all the way from here all the way out to the road because it's parkland, and I got permission from Dan that runs the parks department around here to be on that property. And this guy looks at me because he knows me as Brian Grooms or Watachi Running Free. That's the only things he knows me about. And he goes, "Is that your Jeep? Or whose Jeep is that?" I go, "That's my Jeep." He goes, "Well, whose name's on the title?" "All right, it's my name on the title." It says David Group. I said, "Yeah." I go, "My name is David Brian Grooms. This is the cops that I've been fighting for 3 years. This is one of them." I go, "My name's David Brian Grooms." He goes, you're David Brian?" He goes, "Oh, I thought Brian was your first name." I don't have nothing to do with that, but by the time it was done, folks, over 8 police officers were involved and many contacts with me. I ended up, just to get the woman to quit calling the cops, because I was sick and tired of seeing them, I took everything I found along that trail. It was so rusted out. I mean, I wanted to clean it up a little bit and see if I could figure out what some of the pieces were because they were interesting. I just took it all. I took it all back right over to the woman and said, "Here, look, here. This is everything I found." I said, "Matter of fact, I found a bunch of stuff down the road here. If you want it, I'll haul all that stuff over here to you too. If you want all that shit." And they said, "No, we'll take this." And I said, "All right, we'll take it." You know what? She told me, "We're looking to save this for the generations behind us, for our kids' kids." And I said, "Lady, look at the stuff that I dug up. You almost can't identify it today. If you think another 20 or 40 years from now, that shit ain't going to be nothing but a rusty color in the dirt, that's all it's going to be. There ain't none of this iron going to still be sitting out here." And that's what I was looking for was stuff. There's a track out here from the 1920s. It was a harness racing track that I know the mob ran it. They started it in 1912. They shut it down in 1920s because there was too many people coming. It was out in the middle of nowhere, and it was drawing too big a crowds, and they weren't going to make it bigger. And I think that's why I think it had to do with the mob, the mafia. Same time Vegas was being built, Atlantic City, I believe, was being built at the same time. Buddy, we're Youngstown. This is Youngstown, Ohio. It's halfway between Cleveland and Pittsburgh, and we had a family that owned Pittsburgh and a different family that owned Cleveland, and they were all fighting for this same area. And that was a track that I was finding facts. I've got boxes of shit over here that I was finding stuff that they told me I wouldn't find anything. Well, they shut me down. they shut me down hard and fast. But it took them lies to get it done. And finally, I did have a captain. His name is Captain McDonald here at the Boardman Town Police Department. He knows I'm not out here causing trouble. I'm not out here freaking breaking laws or doing it. I'm just living my life. He knows this. And one time he told me a year or so ago, he told me straight to my face. He goes, "I don't agree with you on everything you say, Watachi," or he said, "Brian." He goes, "But I do believe I agree with you on at least half of what you say." And so he goes, "If there's anything I can ever do for you, just ask." I said, "All right." So when all this stuff started going down with this metal detecting and all these, and the Parks Department guy, I ain't done everything I was finding over there. I was willing to give it to the Parks Department because this stuff was. I even found a gun, folks. I'm telling you, from the 1880s. They didn't think I'd find anything before or other than that something to do with the park from 1912 to 1920s. That's all they thought I'd find because the property I was working was a stables that's still exactly how it was when it was built in 1912. And I was finding stuff from one what do they call them, blacksmith told me. Right, I got them right here. These horseshoes right here. This was the second one I found. I got a better one, but I gave it to my son. He liked it, but it wasn't. This I've wire brushed these down and painted them up to keep them from rusting anymore. But I'm telling you what, folks, these things they're like paper thin. And this blacksmith told me, he goes, these right here. He goes, man, those are extremely old. And I was like, okay, what do you mean extremely old? And he was just sitting there. He wasn't saying nothing. I said, can we say it's from the Civil War? He goes, yeah. He goes, I'll guarantee you that. He goes, but they're before that. I said, what do you mean? And I wish I had my other horseshoes over here because I could show you. During the Civil War, they started putting a lip up on the front, on the nose of the horseshoe. It was like a steel toe for a horse. That way, if it hit a rock, it had this extra hunk of steel out here in the front that would protect the hoof. And he said that was what they were using in during the 1840s to 1860s, during the Civil War. That most of the horseshoes, yes, there were maybe people that weren't making them like that during that time that were making their own horseshoes. That he said, but most of them during the Civil War time, they had that steel toe on them, and I've got a bunch of them I could show you from that. But these, I've had more than one blacksmith tell me they couldn't date them, but they know they were before the 1800s, so 1700s, and I don't care what part of the 1700s. Be honest with you, but they know it was those horseshoes. And unless anybody can prove that wrong, I'd love to see it. I would love to be able to show the people, somebody, some of the stuff I've got and tell me where, when, and what year it came from. Because I found a lot of stuff, folks. And some of it was huge. I ain't playing with you. If you want to see it, ask me about it. Or look at my videos. On one of my channels, I got a bunch of them. I got all the stuff on there. I think it's Pop Pops. That's it. Pop Pop. It was MD Metal Detector, but now it's Pop Pop WR. Watachi Running Free is what the WR stands for. But you guys, God loves you. I love you. We'll see you. Or first off, I hope you found Jesus' path. If you haven't, please find that. I almost left that out. That ain't me. But God loves you. I love you. Jesus loves you. Till the next one.